The ancient world is filled with mysteries, lost cities, vanished civilizations, secrets buried beneath the sands of time, but few mysteries capture the imagination like the undiscovered tomb of Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt. Her story is one of power, love and tragedy, a story that continues to fascinate us centuries later. Cleopatra's life was a tapestry woven with political intrigue, romance and, ultimately, tragedy. Her love affair with Roman general Mark Antony shook the foundations of the Roman Republic. Their defeat at the Battle of Actium sealed their fate. Legend has it that Cleopatra chose a serpent's bite to end her own life, rather than face humiliation at the hands of Octavian. History tells us that she and Antony were buried together, their tomb a testament to their love and a symbol of their power. But time, as it often does, has obscured the truth, the location of their shared tomb lost to history. Historians and archaeologists believe that Cleopatra's tomb lies hidden somewhere beneath the bustling streets of modern Alexandria. In Cleopatra's time, this city was a beacon of culture and knowledge, a grand metropolis that rivaled even Rome in its splendor. The city was home to the famed Library of Alexandria, a repository of ancient wisdom and learning, and at its heart stood the tomb of Alexander the Great, a magnificent mausoleum befitting a ruler who conquered most of the known world. It is believed that Cleopatra, eager to associate herself with Alexander's legacy, chose to build her own tomb near his. But Alexandria, once a jewel of the ancient world, has been ravaged by time and tide. Earthquakes, rising sea levels, and the relentless march of urban development have all but erased Cleopatra's Alexandria from the face of the earth. Yet tantalizing clues to the location of her tomb can be found, scattered like fragments of a forgotten map in ancient texts. Greek biographer Plutarch, writing a century after Cleopatra's death, provides us with our most detailed account of her burial. He describes a magnificent tomb adorned with gold and precious stones, located near a temple dedicated to the goddess Isis. This temple, Plutarch tells us, was situated near the royal palace, facing the sea. While these descriptions offer a starting point, the sands of time have shifted, making it difficult to pinpoint the exact location described by Plutarch. Archaeologists have uncovered numerous temples and palaces in Alexandria, but none that perfectly match the biographer Plutarch's description. The search is further complicated by the fact that part of the ancient coastline of Alexandria is now submerged beneath the Mediterranean Sea. It's likely that the temple of Isis, and perhaps even Cleopatra's tomb itself, now lie buried beneath the waves. Despite these challenges, the search for Cleopatra's tomb continues. In recent years, archaeologists have made promising discoveries in the waters off the coast of Alexandria. Sunken ruins, possibly belonging to the royal quarter, have been unearthed, offering a glimmer of hope that Cleopatra's final resting place may one day be found. The allure of Cleopatra's tomb has captivated explorers and treasure hunters for centuries. Early expeditions, often fueled by romantic notions of lost riches, yielded little more than disappointment. The shifting sands of the Egyptian desert seemed to guard their secrets jealously. One of the earliest documented searches was undertaken in the 19th century by Italian explorer Giovanni Battista Belzoni. Belzoni, known for his daring exploits and impressive discoveries, was convinced that he could locate Cleopatra's tomb. He scoured the ancient necropolis of Alexandria, excavating numerous tombs and uncovering countless artifacts. Yet Cleopatra's final resting place eluded him. Belzoni's failure, while disheartening, only served to intensify the mystery surrounding Cleopatra's tomb. Advancements in underwater archaeology opened new avenues for exploration. Archaeologists explored the submerged ruins of Alexandria, discovering the famed Lighthouse of Alexandria. These finds confirmed that a significant portion of ancient Alexandria lay beneath the waves. This had profound implications for the search for Cleopatra's tomb. If Plutarch's account was accurate, the tomb was likely submerged as well. The temple complex of Osiris Magna, located 30 miles west of Alexandria, has captured the attention of archaeologists. This site, dedicated to Isis, resembles the temple described by Plutarch. Excavations led by Dr. Zahi Hawass have uncovered tunnels and chambers beneath the temple. These structures have fueled speculation that Osiris Magna could be Cleopatra's final resting place. A nearby burial chamber with gold coins bearing Cleopatra's image has heightened the intrigue. Could this be the breakthrough archaeologists have been waiting for? Only time and further excavation will tell. The discovery of Cleopatra's tomb would be a momentous event, sending ripples of excitement through the world of archaeology and capturing the imaginations of history enthusiasts worldwide. Speculation abounds regarding what treasures might lie hidden within this lost mausoleum. Cleopatra, known for her opulent lifestyle and love of luxury, would have undoubtedly been laid to rest surrounded by objects befitting her status as the last pharaoh of Egypt. Her tomb might contain a dazzling array of jewellery, from intricate gold necklaces adorned with precious stones to elaborate headdresses symbolising her power and divinity. Imagine the sparkle of emeralds, the deep red glow of rubies, and the cool brilliance of sapphires, all crafted into exquisite pieces fit for a queen. Cleopatra's tomb could reveal invaluable insights into ancient Egypt's burial rituals and religious beliefs. The layout, decorations and objects within would shed light on elaborate funerary practices. We might find canopic jars preserved according to ancient beliefs, or a funerary mask for her safe passage to the afterlife. The walls might be adorned with frescoes depicting Egyptian mythology, offering glimpses into Cleopatra's religious beliefs and connection to the gods. One tantalizing possibility is discovering written records within the tomb. Cleopatra might have left scrolls detailing her reign, leadership, or her relationship with Mark Antony. Such a discovery would offer an unprecedented glimpse into her mind. Imagine deciphering these texts, hearing Cleopatra's voice echo through the centuries. Her tomb would unveil artifacts and unlock historical knowledge, changing our understanding of Cleopatra. Cleopatra VII, Philopator, a name echoing beauty, power and tragedy. Born into a kingdom on the brink of chaos, she was a princess before the legend. In 69 BC, the Ptolemaic Dynasty was under Rome's control. Cleopatra's childhood was luxurious yet overshadowed by Rome. Her father, Ptolemy the 14th, was a weak ruler, more concerned with pleasures. The young princess observed the vulnerability of her dynasty. Despite turmoil, Cleopatra received an exceptional education. The royal court in Alexandria attracted scholars, philosophers, and artists. Fluent in multiple languages, Cleopatra immersed herself in this intellectual haven. She spent countless hours in the Royal Library of Alexandria, studying various subjects. Engaging in debates, she conversed with learned men and women. This foundation shaped her into a shrewd strategist and captivating orator. As Cleopatra blossomed into a young woman, her intelligence and charisma became increasingly apparent, eclipsing even her brothers. Within the confines of the royal palace, whispers of rebellion began to circulate. Her father's grip on power weakened, challenged by court factions vying for control. The young princess, observant and ambitious, was acutely aware of the shifting political landscape. She witnessed the ruthlessness of her own family, the lengths to which people would go to seize and maintain power. Her own mother, Cleopatra V Tryphena, had secured her position by orchestrating the death of a rival. These experiences, though brutal, served as a harsh education in the realities of power. They ignited within her a steely determination, a will to survive and to rule. At 18, Cleopatra ascended Egypt's throne, her destiny intertwined with her crumbling kingdom. Her reign began as a fragile alliance with her brother Ptolemy XIII. Cleopatra, a woman of intellect and ambition, craved true power. She envisioned a resurgence of Egypt's former glory. Her intelligence and charisma were her weapons against Roman domination. Cleopatra balanced power, appeasing Rome while reclaiming Egypt's autonomy. Her early years on the throne were a display of political acumen. In 48 BC, a pivotal moment arrived in the form of Julius Caesar, the Roman general who had plunged the Roman Republic into civil war. Cleopatra, recognizing an opportunity, allied herself with Caesar, using her legendary charm and strategic brilliance to secure his support. Their alliance, both political and romantic, sent shockwaves through the ancient world. Caesar, captivated by Cleopatra's intellect and ambition, recognized her value as an ally in the volatile world of Roman politics. Their relationship, cemented by the birth of their son Caesarion, solidified Cleopatra's hold on power and offered Egypt a brief respite from Roman encroachment. But their alliance, built on ambition and mutual benefit, was a dangerous game. Caesar's assassination in 44 BC marked a turning point in Cleopatra's fortunes. The Roman Republic, once again plunged into turmoil, presented both a threat and an opportunity. Cleopatra set her sights on another ambitious Roman general, Mark Antony, a man of considerable power and a key player in the fight to control Rome's destiny. Their meeting, immortalized in history and legend, marked the beginning of a passionate love affair and a formidable political alliance. Together, they challenged the rising power of Octavian, Caesar's heir, their combined forces posing a significant threat to his ambition. Yet, their alliance, built on a foundation of passion and defiance, would ultimately prove to be their undoing. The Battle of Actium, a naval clash of epic proportions, sealed the fate of Cleopatra and Mark Antony. Defeated by Octavian's forces, they returned to Alexandria, their dreams of a shared empire shattered. Antony, betrayed and heartbroken, took his own life. Cleopatra, facing the humiliation of capture and parade through the streets of Rome, chose a different fate. Legend tells us that she held a venomous asp to her breast, ending her own life with a final act of defiance. With her death, the Ptolemaic Dynasty came to an end, and Egypt fell under the dominion of Rome. Her tomb, a symbol of her power and the enduring mystery surrounding her life, remains undiscovered, a testament to the enduring allure of this iconic queen. The sands of time have swallowed many secrets, but few hold the allure of Cleopatra's lost tomb. If discovered, it promises a glimpse into a pivotal moment in history, the fall of a dynasty and the dawn of a new era. The treasures it may hold, the stories it could tell, have the power to reshape our understanding of this iconic queen and the world she inhabited. Will we ever unlock the secrets of Cleopatra's final resting place? Will we ever stand before her sarcophagus, gazing upon the face of the woman who captivated Caesar and challenged Rome? The answer lies buried beneath the sands of Egypt, a mystery waiting to be unearthed, a queen awaiting her moment to once again captivate the world. Egypt, ancient, storied, and for centuries ruled by the Greek Ptolemies, stood as a beacon of culture and power. Alexandria, its capital, was famed for its library and lighthouse, a hub of knowledge and trade. But the dynasty's last ruler, Cleopatra VII, was different. She embraced Egyptian language and religion, presenting herself as the goddess Isis. A shrewd leader, Cleopatra fought to keep Egypt independent as the Ptolemaic Golden Age faded. Rome's grip on Egypt tightened gradually, turning the Ptolemies into dependent clients. Cleopatra, recognizing Rome's dominance, forged alliances with Julius Caesar and later Mark Antony, hoping to secure Egypt's future. Their partnership, both romantic and political, challenged Rome's new leader, Octavian, setting the stage for a final confrontation. Rome itself was in turmoil. The Republic, overwhelmed by its own expansion, was torn by social strife and civil war. Ambitious generals like Marius, Sulla and Pompey vied for power, eroding old Republican values and paving the way for warlords to dominate the political landscape. The assassination of Julius Caesar plunged Rome into chaos, leading to the rise of the second triumvirate, Octavian, Antony and Lepidus, who divided the Roman world among themselves. Antony took the east and soon allied with Cleopatra, drawn by her resources and charisma. Their alliance, both strategic and passionate, aimed to secure their power, but would ultimately provoke Rome's wrath and set the stage for a final confrontation. The showdown came at Actium in 31 BC. Antony and Cleopatra's fleet was outmaneuvered by Octavian's admiral Agrippa. Cleopatra's sudden retreat led Antony to abandon the fight, sealing their defeat. Their dream of an Eastern empire collapsed, and Egypt's fate was sealed. Octavian, now Augustus, made Egypt his personal domain, Rome's breadbasket and treasury. He barred senators from entering without permission, ensuring no rival could seize its wealth or raise an army there. Egypt became the emperor's private estate, tightly controlled from the top. Augustus imposed a strict bureaucracy focused on taxation. Egypt was divided into nomes, each run by a Roman strategos. Local elites were co-opted for administration, bearing heavy burdens to meet tax quotas. This system maximized revenue for Rome, often at great cost to Egyptians. Alexandria, once a royal capital, became a provincial seat under Rome. Still a vital trade hub, it was denied self-governance, fueling resentment among its Greek elite. Only centuries later did the city gain a council, reflecting Rome's deep mistrust of its volatile population. Egypt's security relied on a permanent Roman garrison, initially 3 legions, later reduced but always formidable. The prefect of Egypt commanded these forces, preventing any senator from seizing military power. The legions, supported by auxiliaries, ensured the emperor's grip on the province. Roman soldiers in Egypt did more than fight. They enforced tax collection, maintained order, and built infrastructure. Their engineering skills supported agriculture and public works, but their presence also reminded Egyptians that their land now served Rome's interests above all. While internal security was a primary concern, the Roman army in Egypt was also tasked with defending the province's vast and challenging frontiers. To the west lay the vast expanse of the Libyan desert, home to nomadic tribes who could threaten the scattered oases and the western edge of the Nile Valley. To the east, the Arabian desert posed a similar threat, but the most significant and active frontier was to the south, in the region known as Nubia, or Kush. Here the Romans inherited a long-standing border conflict from the Ptolemies with the powerful kingdom of Meroe, a sophisticated civilization centered further up the Nile. Shortly after the Roman conquest in 25 BC, the Meroitic queen, known as the Candace Amanirenas, launched a major raid into southern Egypt, attacking Roman garrisons at Syene and Philae and even carrying off a bronze head from a statue of Emperor Augustus. The Roman response was swift and brutal. The prefect Gaius Petronius led a punitive expedition deep into Nubia, sacking the city of Napata and forcing the Meroites to sue for peace. Following this campaign, a permanent and heavily fortified southern border was established at Hiera Sykaminos, marking the limit of direct Roman control and creating a buffer zone between the province and the Meroitic kingdom. The Roman arrival layered a new, rigid hierarchy onto Ptolemaic Egypt's existing social pyramid. Roman citizens, a small group of officials, officers and veterans, sat at the apex. They held power and exemptions, residing mainly in Alexandria and fortresses. Their position demonstrated Roman authority. Below them were the Greeks, the Hellenized elite of cities like Alexandria. They retained privileges, dominating civic life and holding administrative positions. This intermediary class maintained status between Roman rulers and the Egyptian population. The economy of Roman Egypt was utterly dominated by agriculture. The annual flooding of the Nile River deposited fertile silt, creating an agricultural paradise. The Romans focused on maximizing production and perfecting the system of collection. They maintained the irrigation canals to ensure a bountiful harvest. The primary product was grain, specifically wheat and barley. Egypt's grain production was the principal reason for its immense value to the Roman Empire. This grain was transported down the Nile to Alexandria, where it was stored in massive granaries before being shipped to Rome. This grain fleet was the lifeline that fed the capital's massive population. Beyond its agricultural might, Roman Egypt was a vibrant center of industry and a crucial hub for international trade. The city of Alexandria was not just the exit point for Egyptian grain. It was also a major manufacturing center in its own right. Its workshops produced high-quality glass, fine linens, pottery, and luxury items like perfumes and jewelry. The papyrus industry, centered in the Delta, was a near monopoly, supplying the paper equivalent to the entire Roman world for its administrative records, literature, and personal correspondence. These industries, combined with the processing of agricultural goods, made the province an economic powerhouse that exported finished goods as well as raw materials. Egypt's unique geographical position, bridging the Mediterranean and the Red Sea, made it the gateway for Rome's lucrative trade with the East. Goods from Arabia, India, and even as far as China flowed into the Red Sea ports of Myos Hormos and Berenice. From there, caravans, protected by the Roman military, trekked across the eastern desert to the Nile, where the goods were transferred to boats and floated downriver to Alexandria. Spices like pepper and cinnamon, silks, precious gems, and exotic animals were brought west, while Roman goods like wine, metalwork, and glass were sent east. This trade brought immense wealth into the province, and, well, the customs duties collected on it were a significant source of revenue for the emperor's treasury. When Rome conquered Egypt, it did not impose its own gods. The Romans were generally tolerant in religious matters. They encountered a pantheon of gods that had been worshipped along the Nile for 3,000 years. Life continued to revolve around the worship of their ancient deities. Gods like Horus, Thoth, and Sobek remained central to the spiritual life of the villages and towns in the Nile Valley. The local temples continued to function much as they had under the pharaohs. These were not just places of worship, but also major economic and cultural centers. The priesthood continued to perform the ancient daily rituals. For the ordinary Egyptian, these temples were the tangible link to the divine. The old ways were resilient. The Romans introduced the imperial cult, a state-sponsored veneration of the emperor, fostering loyalty across the empire. In Egypt, this cult built upon the tradition of the divine ruler. Temples were dedicated to emperors, and priests oversaw their worship. This practice was a mandatory expression of political allegiance, demonstrating loyalty to Rome. The cult was prominent in Alexandria, fused with the worship of the goddess Roma. Festivals and sacrifices were held in the emperor's honor, reinforcing the empire's might. Participation in the imperial cult was a crucial part of public life, a statement that all were subjects of the divine emperor. Among the deities worshipped in Roman Egypt, Isis achieved widespread popularity across the entire Roman Empire. Isis was the great mother goddess. Under the Romans, her cult became a major international religion. She was seen as a universal savior, a compassionate mother who offered her followers protection and rebirth. Her cult was a mystery religion, meaning its central rituals were revealed only to initiates. Temples to Isis, known as Iseums, sprang up in port cities and urban centers. Her iconography, the goddess nursing her infant son, became one of the most recognizable religious images of the age. The Roman conquest of Egypt did not bring an end to the grand tradition of temple building that had defined the landscape of the Nile Valley for millennia. Instead, the early Roman emperors, particularly those of the Julio-Claudian and Flavian dynasties, embraced this tradition as a powerful tool of statecraft. They continued the practice of the Ptolemaic kings before them, funding the construction and completion of magnificent temples dedicated to the ancient Egyptian gods. This architectural patronage served a crucial political purpose. By acting as pious pharaohs, Roman emperors legitimized their rule in the eyes of the Egyptian people and the influential native priesthood, seamlessly inserting themselves into a 3,000-year-old lineage of divine kingship and cosmic stewardship. These temples were built in a purely traditional Egyptian style, almost indistinguishable from those of the New Kingdom or Ptolemaic eras. They featured massive pylons, open-air courtyards, hyper-style halls with towering columns, and dimly lit inner sanctuaries. The walls were covered in intricate hieroglyphic inscriptions and detailed reliefs carved according to the ancient artistic canons. However, a closer look reveals the new reality of Roman power. Amidst the images of Horus, Isis and Amun-Ra, the figure of the Roman emperor appears, depicted in the full regalia of a pharaoh, wearing the double crown of Upper and Lower Egypt and making offerings to the gods, a visible statement of continuity and control. The Roman period witnessed the final flourishing of monumental Egyptian temple construction, a last great burst of architectural energy before the old religion began its slow decline. These structures stand today as some of the best-preserved temples in all of Egypt, precisely because they were the last to be built. The Temple of Horus at Edfu, though primarily a Ptolemaic construction, was finally completed under Roman rule. Its massive scale, perfect preservation, and the completeness of its inscriptions provide an unparalleled window into the religious and architectural world that the Romans inherited and, for a time, chose to sustain. It represents the culmination of centuries of pharaonic architectural evolution sponsored by Greek and Roman masters. Further south, near the traditional border of Egypt and Nubia, lies the island of Philae, a sacred site dedicated to the goddess Isis. The Romans added significantly to the existing temple complex, which became one of the most important pilgrimage centers in the entire empire. The Kiosk of Trajan, an elegant and unfinished pavilion with towering floral columns, remains one of the most iconic images of Roman Egypt. It was a gateway to the sanctuary of Isis, a place where the Roman emperor honored the most beloved of the Egyptian goddesses, whose cult was by then captivating followers across the Mediterranean world, from the shores of Egypt to the city of Rome itself. The first centuries of Roman rule in Egypt were characterized by stability and systematic exploitation. Following the chaos of the late Ptolemaic era, the Pax Romana brought an end to conflict. The province settled into a rhythm, governed by the emperor's prefect and legions. This peace allowed agriculture and trade to flourish. Augustus's administrative machinery ensured grain ships sailed on time and tax revenues flowed into the treasury, solidifying Egypt's role as the empire's economic bedrock. Cultural toleration allowed ancient religious traditions to continue. Temples were maintained with imperial funds, and emperors were depicted as pharaohs. The Roman tax system siphoned off the province's wealth, burdening the peasant farmers. The relative calm of the first 2 centuries came to an abrupt end in the 3rd century, a period known as the crisis of the 3rd century that shook the entire Roman Empire to its foundations. Decades of civil war, rapid turnover of emperors, rampant inflation, and barbarian invasions on the frontiers created widespread instability. Egypt was not immune to this chaos. The province suffered from military usurpations, economic disruption, and new external threats. The firm grip that the central government in Rome had held over the province began to weaken, and the carefully calibrated system of administration and exploitation started to break down under the immense pressure of the empire-wide crisis. One of the most significant threats came from the south and east. The Blemmyes, a nomadic people from the eastern desert, began to launch increasingly bold raids into the Nile Valley, threatening towns and disrupting trade routes. In the 260s, the short-lived Ptolemaic Empire, based in Syria and led by the warrior Queen Zenobia, briefly seized control of Egypt, severing it from Roman authority. The Roman Emperor Aurelian eventually reconquered the province, but these events shattered the illusion of impenetrable security that had defined the early Roman period. The military had to be reconfigured to deal with these new, more mobile threats, and the sense of permanent stability was lost for good. The reforms of the emperors Diocletian and Constantine at the turn of the 4th century marked the beginning of a new era, often termed later Roman or Byzantine Egypt. The province underwent a radical administrative overhaul. Egypt was divided into several smaller provinces, breaking its monolithic unity and bringing it more in line with the rest of the empire. The old distinction between the emperor's personal province and senatorial provinces was abolished. A new, more complex bureaucracy was put in place, and the military and civil commands were separated. This was a fundamental reshaping of the government, moving away from the Augustan model towards the structure of the later Byzantine state. The most profound transformation of this period was the rise of Christianity. After centuries of persecution, Emperor Constantine's conversion in the early 4th century made Christianity the favored religion of the empire. In Egypt, this shift was embraced with fervent enthusiasm. The church grew rapidly in wealth and power, developing a strong hierarchical structure under the authority of the powerful bishop or pope of Alexandria. Monasticism, a new form of intense religious devotion, was born in the Egyptian deserts, with charismatic figures like St. Antony attracting thousands of followers who sought to renounce the world for a life of prayer and asceticism. Egypt became a heartland of Christian thought and spirituality. Roman rule in Egypt wasn't a simple replacement, but a lasting transformation. The legions of Augustus absorbed a civilization, recognizing the immense value of its new prize. Rome imposed a rigid system of governance to extract wealth. Grain, gold and porphyry flowed from the Nile Valley, reshaping the Egyptian economy. This new order was built upon military power. The Roman garrison enforced the peace, protected tax collectors, and engineered infrastructure. This brought stability, but it was dictated by a foreign master serving Rome's interests above all else. The story of Roman Egypt is not merely one of what Rome did to Egypt, but also of what Egypt gave to Rome. The influence flowed both ways, and the treasures that the empire received were not just material. The most immediate and tangible gift was, of course, the grain. The annual shipment from Alexandria was the lifeblood of the capital, the foundation of the emperor's ability to maintain social order and political power. But Egypt also gave the Roman world papyrus, the essential medium for communication, administration, and literature. It provided the empire with exquisite glass, fine linens, and the hard, beautiful stones that became the ultimate symbols of imperial luxury and permanence, shaping the very look and feel of the city of Rome. Beyond these material goods, Egypt exported its gods. The cults of Isis and Serapis, nurtured in the multicultural crucible of Hellenistic and Roman Egypt, became international phenomena. They offered a brand of personal, emotional, and salvific religion that proved immensely appealing across the vast and diverse empire. In a world often characterized by impersonal state cults, the mysteries of Isis provided a sense of community, divine compassion, and the promise of an afterlife. The The spread of these Egyptian cults throughout the Mediterranean prepared the Roman mind for new religious ideas from the East, creating a spiritual landscape in which another faith, Christianity, would eventually find purchase and flourish. The 7 centuries of Roman dominion mark a pivotal bridge in Egypt's narrative. This era signals the definitive end of the pharaonic world, a civilization that had endured for 3 millennia. The Roman conquest integrated the Nile Valley into the Mediterranean world. Yet even as ancient traditions faded, new forms of expression emerged, none more evocative than the haunting Fayum portraits. Painted nearly 2,000 years ago, the Fayum portraits are among the most vivid and personal relics of Roman Egypt. Created between the 1st and 3rd centuries AD, these lifelike images adorned the faces of mummified bodies, bridging the worlds of the living and the dead. They are found mostly in the Fayum region, west of the Nile, but their influence spread across the land. The artists who crafted these portraits used the encaustic technique, mixing coloured pigments with hot beeswax and applying them to wooden panels. This method allowed for remarkable depth, luminosity and durability. The result? Eyes that seem to gaze across centuries, skin tones that glow with life, and expressions that capture individuality and emotion. The wooden panels, often made from native sycamore or imported cedar, were carefully prepared. Artists layered rich colours, reds, ochres and deep blacks, using fine brushes and heated tools. Gold leaf sometimes adorned jewellery or clothing, highlighting the status of the deceased. Each portrait was unique, a testament to the sitter's identity, wealth and aspirations. The people depicted in the Fayum portraits were a blend of cultures, Egyptian, Greek, Roman and others, reflecting the cosmopolitan world of Roman Egypt. Their hairstyles, clothing and jewellery reveal shifting fashions and social status. Some wear traditional Egyptian amulets, while others display Roman togas or Greek-style tunics. The portraits capture a society in transition where ancient beliefs mingled with new customs. These images were not mere decorations. They served a profound funerary purpose, attached to the mummified bodies and placed in tombs. The portraits were meant to preserve the memory and presence of the deceased, ensuring recognition in the afterlife. They are a poignant fusion of Egyptian spiritual tradition and Greco-Roman realism. Archaeologists have uncovered hundreds of these portraits, often remarkably well preserved by the dry desert sands. Each discovery is a moment of connection, a face from antiquity meeting the gaze of the modern world. Today, the Fayum portraits are displayed in museums across the globe, celebrated for their artistry and humanity. Art historians regard the Fayum portraits as the earliest true-to-life painted portraits in history. Their influence echoes through the centuries, inspiring later traditions of portraiture in both East and West. They remind us that beneath the trappings of empire and the passage of time, the desire to be remembered, to be seen, remains universal. The language of administration shifted and hieroglyphics slowly faded. The Roman period represents a profound break with the past, a closing of the door on ancient Egypt. The ruins of Roman fortresses stand in the desert. Temples completed under Roman patronage are preserved in detail. But in the Fayum portraits, the faces of a lost world endure, silent, watchful and alive. The Fayum mummy portraits reveal the faces of the multicultural elite, a symbol of cultural fusion. In their gaze we glimpse the enduring echoes of a world transformed, where Egypt's ancient soul met the new realities of Rome, and where art became a bridge across time. Few figures in history command the awe and intrigue of Alexander the Great. His name echoes through the annals of time, a symbol of unparalleled ambition and military genius. This Macedonian king, born in 356 BC, conquered vast swathes of the ancient world, creating an empire that stretched from Greece to Egypt and into the heart of Asia. His campaigns were marked by strategic brilliance and relentless determination, leaving an indelible mark on the course of Western civilization. His influence extended beyond the battlefield, shaping the cultural and intellectual landscape of the regions he conquered. Yet the final resting place of this legendary conqueror remains one of history's most enduring mysteries. Despite numerous accounts and theories, the exact location of Alexander's tomb has eluded discovery for over 2 millennia. The search for Alexander's tomb has captivated historians, archaeologists and treasure hunters for centuries, each driven by the hope of uncovering one of the greatest archaeological finds of all time, fueled by tantalizing clues and a profound desire to uncover the secrets buried within. Ancient texts and historical records provide hints, but none have led to a definitive discovery. The significance of finding Alexander's tomb extends far beyond the recovery of lost treasure or the confirmation of historical records. It represents a bridge to the past, a direct link to one of history's most influential figures. Within that lost mausoleum lies the potential to unlock a deeper understanding of Alexander himself, his beliefs, his ambitions, and his legacy. The artifacts and inscriptions within could provide unprecedented insights into his life and the era he dominated. The tomb's discovery would offer invaluable insights into the funerary practices, artistry, and cultural exchange of the Hellenistic period, a time when Alexander's conquests forged connections between East and West. In 323 BC, at the age of 32, Alexander the Great's triumphant reign was cut short in Babylon. The circumstances surrounding his death remain shrouded in mystery, with theories ranging from illness to poisoning. Some accounts describe a high fever, while others point to the possibility of assassination by rivals within his own ranks. Regardless of the cause, Alexander's death plunged his vast empire into chaos. Without a clear heir, his generals, known as the Diadochi, engaged in a bitter power struggle that would last for decades. Amidst this turmoil, the fate of Alexander's body became a matter of immediate concern. Tradition dictated that a king of Alexander's stature deserved a lavish burial and a magnificent tomb. However, the logistics of preserving and transporting his body presented a considerable challenge in the ancient world. The journey from Babylon to his Macedonian homeland was long and arduous, and the summer heat posed a significant risk of decomposition. One of Alexander's most trusted generals, Ptolemy the Vsoter, ultimately took possession of the king's body. Ptolemy, a man of great ambition and vision, saw in Alexander's remains not just the body of a fallen leader, but a powerful symbol that could cement his own authority and legacy. Ptolemy, who would later establish himself as the ruler of Egypt, initially transported Alexander's remains to Memphis, the ancient capital of Egypt. Memphis, a city steeped in history and tradition, was a fitting temporary resting place for the great conqueror. The journey to Memphis was a grand procession, reflecting the reverence and respect Alexander commanded even in death. There, Alexander was embalmed by Egyptian priests, masters of the art of preserving the dead. The embalming process was intricate and sacred, involving rituals and techniques perfected over millennia. The priests, with their deep knowledge of mummification, ensured that Alexander's body would be preserved for eternity, a testament to his enduring legacy. Memphis, however, was not intended to be Alexander's final resting place. Ptolemy had grander plans, envisioning a tomb that would reflect the greatness of Alexander and serve as a symbol of his own rule. The discussions and planning for this monumental task were extensive, involving architects, artisans, and scholars. Ptolemy envisioned a grander tomb for his former king and comrade, a monument that would not only honor Alexander, but also legitimize Ptolemy's own claim to power and his vision for a new Hellenistic dynasty in Egypt. The construction of this tomb was a massive undertaking, requiring resources and labor on an unprecedented scale. It was a project that would take years to complete, but Ptolemy was determined to see it through. Thus began the construction of a magnificent tomb in Alexandria, the vibrant cosmopolitan city Ptolemy founded on the shores of the Mediterranean. Alexandria, with its strategic location and cultural significance, was the perfect site for Alexander's final resting place. The city itself was a testament to Ptolemy's vision, a melting pot of cultures and ideas, reflecting the Hellenistic ideals of knowledge and progress. The exact location and design of this tomb remain a subject of debate, but historical accounts describe a structure of remarkable grandeur, adorned with precious materials and guarded by a contingent of soldiers. The tomb was not just a burial site, but a monument to Alexander's achievements and Ptolemy's aspirations. It was a place where the past and future converged, a symbol of continuity and change. Alexander's tomb in Alexandria quickly became a site of pilgrimage and veneration. People from all walks of life, from scholars to soldiers, made the journey to pay their respects. The tomb became a focal point for the Hellenistic world, a place where people could connect with the legacy of Alexander and the new era Ptolemy was ushering in. People from across the Hellenistic world flocked to pay their respects to the fallen conqueror, transforming his tomb into a symbol of Alexander's enduring legacy and Ptolemy's burgeoning power. The tomb was more than just a final resting place. It was a beacon of hope and inspiration, a reminder of the greatness that could be achieved through vision and determination. Alexander's journey did not end with his death. It continued through the lives and aspirations of those who came after him, forever etched in the annals of history. Despite its initial prominence, Alexander's tomb in Alexandria seemingly vanished from the historical record. This disappearance has puzzled historians and archaeologists for centuries, sparking numerous quests and expeditions to uncover its secrets. The tomb, once a symbol of Alexander the Great's unparalleled legacy, now exists only in the annals of history and the imaginations of those who seek it. While ancient writers provided detailed descriptions of the tomb's splendor and the rituals performed there, concrete information about its precise location and ultimate fate remains elusive. These descriptions paint a picture of a grand mausoleum adorned with precious metals and intricate carvings, a fitting tribute to one of history's most legendary figures. Yet, despite these vivid accounts, the physical evidence of the tomb's existence has remained frustratingly out of reach. Over the centuries, numerous theories have been proposed to explain the tomb's disappearance. Scholars have pored over ancient texts, debated the reliability of historical accounts, and examined every clue with meticulous care. Some suggest that the tomb was hidden deliberately to protect it from grave robbers, while others believe it was simply forgotten as the city of Alexandria evolved and expanded. Some historians believe that the tomb was destroyed during periods of unrest and upheaval that plagued Alexandria throughout its history. The city, a melting pot of cultures and a hub of trade, was no stranger to conflict. Riots, invasions, and political turmoil could have easily led to the tomb's destruction, its treasures looted, and its structure reduced to rubble. Earthquakes, fires, and the destructive fury of various conquerors all left their mark on the city, potentially obliterating Alexander's tomb in the process. Natural disasters, such as the devastating earthquake of 365 AD, reshaped the landscape of Alexandria, toppling buildings and altering the course of history. Fires, too, ravaged the city, consuming everything in their path, including perhaps the final resting place of Alexander the Great. Another theory suggests that the tomb might have been lost more gradually, swallowed by the shifting sands of time. As centuries passed, the once majestic structure could have been buried beneath layers of sand and debris, hidden from view and forgotten by the world. Nature, relentless and unyielding, has a way of reclaiming what was once hers, erasing the marks of human achievement. Alexandria's coastline is known to have shifted over the centuries, with portions of the ancient city now submerged beneath the waters of the Mediterranean Sea. The relentless advance of the sea, combined with the gradual erosion of the coastline, has transformed the landscape dramatically. Entire sections of the city, once bustling with life, now lie beneath the waves, silent witnesses to a bygone era. It is possible that Alexander's tomb, or at least parts of it, met a similar fate, buried beneath layers of sediment and lost to the encroaching sea. Underwater, archaeological explorations have uncovered remnants of ancient Alexandria, offering tantalizing glimpses into the past. Yet the tomb of Alexander the Great remains elusive, a mystery waiting to be unraveled by future generations of explorers and historians.